Any famous last words, dude?
No, not really. Don't bleed too much.
Don't bleed too much. Alright, dude.
Alright, cool. So we're here with Looseyfur. He's going to break down a very simple, well, not very simple. I don't think I could land it like ever, but it's a power aerial combo. So, what is it? Behind the back aerial to back behind the back throws, right? Behind the back throw to the behind the back catch.
Yeah.
That's what it is. Okay, so that's what he's just gonna cover some points on how to land tricks that are a little bit more complex.
Yeah. Okay, so behind the back aerial, which is what you'll need to be able to participate in this, is just the standard behind the back aerial. You can roll out any way you want as long as you can get into a decent throwing position to go behind your back. To go behind your back, you've got to be in a position where you can go upwards. So you're going to want to look like this when you get here. However you get here as part of your routine, doesn't matter. When you get to that place, you know you can turn your arm behind you and start to get the momentum you need to turn. When you get here, just give yourself a little turn, and when you let go, make sure you give it something so that it can rotate. You don't want anything that isn't, flat or whatever to participate in the catch, which will be with the same hand. So, like that.
Just to add to that too, I'm not super good with power. Whenever I do screw up, it's because I release too early. So I'll let go here, and basically the knife wants to take off at a point. It takes off the line that you release it in. So if you let go here, just imagine a line shooting out of your hand where you release it. And I always send my knife flying into the wall. So the one thing that I do is I delay my release as long as possible so that my release is imagine you're throwing it in an upward line, and that's kind of the, like Nardath covered, the trajectory is kind of you have to imagine a line where you're trying to throw it, because if you let go too soon, it's going to go here. So I try to delay as much as I can so that it makes sure the aerial goes straight up instead of somewhere off in the wall.
You can integrate this into almost anything you do once you get this feeling and down with any type of consistency. The next portion of this is coming to a place where you can catch with a safe handle so that you can proceed to the next throw, which will be you just turning and producing a throw, hyper aerial or a normal aerial, which you will then palm with your hand blind. So, you're here. So, from here, where I've got the safe handle, I can now turn and put whatever rotations or any moves necessary to correct. Anytime you make those types of corrections, just try and do them with some sort of eloquence. Like, you don't have to, stop and then turn it over or whatever. Keep going with what you got to get to the position. If you can't do it quick enough, bail out of it in your freestyle and move to something more twirling until you can set yourself back up. But if you feel you've got that type of position where you can do the hyper aerial, just performing hyper aerial. Which you can throw in almost any place that you want. If you are thinking of the trajectory, then you also, when you're doing a straight hyper aerial and you're doing it this, you're going to think about the landing. So if I apex my arc here, I'm going to land approximately here. If I, apex my arc real wide, then I might fall short. When you're doing this, you're making a turn. So we've done the behind the back, we've caught, we've positioned, and now we're going to do the hyper aerial, and we've turned so that, well, you can do the hyper aerial and stop. If you want to push the trigger further, once you do the hyper aerial, you're going to look to catch like this. And don't fucking slice your fingers off. We don't need that. So be careful. Once you've done that and caught here, we've positioned ourselves, we're going to throw and look to turn our body so that you turn your shoulder like that and give you a lot of room to catch. If you don't turn your body the right way, you lose all this ability to catch in here. So if you only turn short, you're just giving yourself this to try and make a catch. So always try to give yourself, you know. There's another thing is like when people do Van Goghs, they really should be doing them almost straight up and down and doing their head so that they can get like this. This is the same principle. Just turning your body so that you can get like this. Turning my body. Turning your body. That was awfully sloppy. Sorry. Stop listening to me now and go perform your own tutorial, because apparently I'm into stabbing myself in the eye. Make sure you turn yourself real well so you get into it. Make sure you give yourself a real good turn. Anyway, so that's that. And it's good for you to practice those things because none of this stuff is terminating. You know what I mean? How is it possible to move from, you know, an aerial? How is it possible to move from an aerial where you catch properly into twirling that, whatever, this is just like nonsense twirling, you know, and finding yourself in a grip where you can perform other stuff and just keep right on trucking. You know, there's no sense to stop. Now, stopping is way 1990. It will stop anything.
The other thing is, when I do screw up an aerial or any trick, I had posted on our Facebook a while ago, stop and figure out what exactly you're doing wrong. Because like, I'm guilty of this. I'll throw an aerial, it'll fly off the wall. Pick it up, I'll throw it, it'll fly off on the wall. And it'll be 10 times, and there'll be like 10 chips of paint on the wall until I stop and say to myself, you know what? Why is it going over there? So that's how I found out I was releasing too early. So once it happens one time, just instead of just immediately bolting for the knife and starting over, just pause and just think of where your body was. Because if you notice, Lucy's doing this. There's a pretty drastic body movement. He's turning all the way over here. He's turning all the way over here. So maybe you need to exaggerate this more. Maybe your hip should be out more. Maybe you need to be like a half step further. Because when you're doing these aerials, the knife is so close to your body that just a few inches back it causes the knife to hit your shoulder. I'm really speaking more just watching Lucy trying to land the move and watching his misses. I can see from a third person where it's going wrong, and most of the times it's just he's not rotated enough, and it taps his shoulder or his shoulder blade right here. So, really, I tell him, you know, you just need a few inches turn this way, and you'll get the clearance. And sure enough, once he does that, it gets adjusted. So, if you're flipping with a friend, it's even better that you're paying attention and he's watching you and he can see exactly what the knife's doing. And this is more important for power aerials because they're a little bit more dynamic. There's a lot more movement to them, so you can kind of see from a bird's eye view what exactly is going wrong. So hopefully that'll help.